What if I told you that we are only a few short years away in this country from the vast majority of people begging the government to grant them an ESG score? Now, I'm sure a lot of people out there, not me, Mucky, no way. I know what that's all about. Well, when you really think about it, ESG scores have been here in this country the entire time since its founding, just under a different name. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are like, wait a minute. No, there hasn't been. Sure, there has. The modern incarnation of environmental social governance has to do with society as a whole. Renewable fuels, energy efficiency, water management, health and safety, diversity and inclusion. That's the real big one these days, isn't it? Ethical standards, stakeholder engagement. You see, this was all applied a long time ago. Don't think so? About 24 to 48 hours, we are away from a video that I'm going to drop over at the Patreon channel that's going to show something that'll blow your minds about the Founding Fathers. They were implementing ESG from day one, and I can prove it. It'll be very simple. Now, if you'd like to join us at the Patreon channel, this is a topic that's so controversial I can't even really talk about it here. It's only $1 US, even less if you sign up for an entire year. And of course, no risk to you, fully refundable first 90 days, no questions asked. What's the difference between here and there? Well, over there, the videos are on Vimeo servers, not on Google servers. You won't see any YouTube logos like you do on some others. And there we can show imagery that's disturbed some people, but it's the truth. And that's what we need to be focused on, the real truth, and not letting them rewrite history. Now, those of you who were for the wall, I know that's the vast majority of my audience, the wall along the southern border because of everybody that's coming here. Well, Florida Maquis, we're not against immigration. We just want them to immigrate, pay attention here, the right way. The right way, really, even though in the grievances against the king, one of those grievances that the Founding Fathers had was that the king was preventing immigration by building walls of his own. Basically, the idea you're asking for is we want Washington, D.C. to enforce our version of ESG for immigration. We want to make sure that everybody coming here has our view of the world and values our view of the world. ESG score is similar to China's social credit system designed to transform society. Think tank director says, well, isn't that what the Founding Fathers did? Florida Maquis, we don't have anything against we want the good ones to come in and we want to keep the bad ones out. Well, by definition, your definition of the bad ones is those who won't pass Washington, D.C.'s tests. They have to agree with you on governance. They have to agree with you on what polite society is. They have to agree with you on environment, don't they? We even already have rules. See, down in places in South America, it's not against the rules to have chickens. But up here in the neighborhoods, there are some places that don't allow you to grow certain things, don't allow you to have livestock in neighborhoods. Why? Well, it messes with the environment. So we want to be able to pick and choose who we allow to come here. You see, that's ESG. Don't think so? Don't think so. You see, this whole idea of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, endowed by God to only certain people that Washington, D.C. says are approved because of their attitudes on environment, society, and government, can come here and enjoy constitutional protections, your Second Amendment rights. That doesn't apply to everybody. That only applies to people here. And people born here and people who Washington, D.C. says, don't think so. I can still prove this even farther. Let's hop in the Wayback Machine. Let's go back to the 1600s. And two individuals step off a boat in Boston. And they decide that they're so happy to be here that they want to go have an audience with the Founding Fathers. And so they grant this. And in walk these two individuals, the one on the left and the one on the top. Hi, my name is Zazzle. This is my bride-to-be, Morgana. I am a warlock. She is a witch. And boy, we really agree with you, Founding Fathers. That king, he's horrible. We are so lucky that we have been able to come here and get away from that king. Because, man, as you know, in Europe, all across Europe, they are persecuting witches and warlocks. And we are so glad that we came to this new world where we can be free of that. And, man, we have some really great herbs and tinctures and concoctions that will cure all sorts of ails that you have. We see that a lot of you have rashes and different problems. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are already laughing. They wouldn't have even gotten that far. The minute they said witch and warlock, they would have been seized, thrown into chains, and if there hadn't been a handy gallows somewhere, they would have had a rope thrown over the nearest tree and been hung immediately. They wouldn't have seen the next sunrise, maybe not even sunset. Even though they shared the same exact opinion of the king that the Founding Fathers did. In fact, what was the reason the Pilgrims came here? They were fleeing religious persecution. Well, of a witch and a warlock, isn't that a religion of sorts? You see, the Founding Fathers had their own ESG. In fact, if you can imagine, as the boats arrived on all of the docks, if there had been armed men sitting there waiting to pick and choose who could step off the boats and who could not step off the boats, I guarantee if it had been Irish people holding the weapons, there would have been no Italians getting off the boats. And vice versa. You see, they had their own standards back then, too. They would have said, look, we have a country, yes, but it's freedom, okay, but, you know, we have to have standards. We can't have these Italians just showing up here willy-nilly. You know, we need to make sure that they have Irish values. If they don't have Irish, they don't have our values, our Roman Catholic values, then, you know, they are going to be a scourge on society. They're going to be a scourge on society. They can't come here because they don't have a proper ESG score. And that's exactly what it was. And that's exactly what I hear down in my comment section when I talk about the border. Here comes a large group of people. All right, that's fine. They want to come. They can do it the right way. We have an immigration system, Florida Maki. Washington, D.C.'s in charge. So, as we know, that's their job. So they need to make sure that these people are ESG approved. And that's the beginning and the end of it. It's a different form of the exact same idea. A different form of the exact same idea. Florida Maki, but isn't that what happens in every country? Strangely, no. It was in Europe. Germans for Germany, make Germany great again. French for France, make France great again. Portuguese for Portugal, make Portugal great again. But then we came here and we had a different idea. We had a completely different idea. That government shouldn't be the final arbiter of who has rights and who doesn't. That government shouldn't be the final arbiter of who has rights and who doesn't. You see, those of you who are for a wall, but are also for the Second Amendment, are talking out of both sides of your mouth. On one side of your mouth, you're saying, I don't want government involved in my weapon ownage at all, in any way, shape, or form. They have no business engineering society and saying who can have weapons and who can't. But it's when this happens, it's Washington, D.C. to the rescue. Washington, D.C., you need to start filtering who can be here and who can't be here. We need Washington, D.C. to determine who is in our society and who isn't in our society so that the Founding Fathers would be rolling over in their graves. Rolling over in their graves. Wait a minute. So patriots in the 21st century believe that they don't have any duty to join a militia to protect their state or protect their country. They have no duty to do that whatsoever, but they do have a right to protect their big screen TV from the drug addicts down the road. But when it comes to immigration, even though we clearly delineated in the grievances against the king that preventing immigration was wrong, they're asking a federal government with a standing army to pick and choose who they want to come here and who is entitled to rights, even though it says in the Constitution at the very beginning that all men are endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights. Even though we wrote all that down specifically, that's what they want. That's what they want. It's just amazing to me. And once again, it's psyops. That someone needs to point this out is stunning. And nobody else is talking about it. If it's not Washington, D.C., who do you think should be the final arbiter of who comes here and who doesn't? Who should be the creator of the test? That would be my question to those of you who have a problem with what I've just said. Who is the creator of the test that you have to pass to come here and be endowed by God with your inalienable rights? Because that's what you're saying. Since you're not here and you're not part of the country, you're not part of the good peoples that are here, you are not under constitutional protection, ergo you don't have rights granted by God. Am I missing something? What am I missing? Show me down in the comment section what I'm missing. Because I'm just not sure how you can make any other argument. I mean, truly, think about it in modern context. If two people came here and their only crime was, well, I'm a witch or I'm a warlock, you're saying you would be standing right there, right beside the founding fathers, tying the noose, helping swing the hammer to build the gallows? If not, then how can the founding fathers be completely infallible? If you'll disagree with them on this point, I guess you would have to sit down and say, okay, founding fathers, who exactly were you talking about when you said all men are created equal? When you said this, are there certain people that by virtue of what they believe are less equal? Because that's the standard, isn't it? We want them to have the American way of life. The American way of life and American values. Well, American values, as we showed in yesterday's video, have varied greatly from the time of the founding fathers into the 1800s, especially for you ladies out there, into the 1900s, where children were used basically as little capitalist slaves, and then all the way through the 40s and 50s, the values then, the values of the 1990s, the values of 2023. I think it's an interesting study when people talk about, oh no, ESG. People saying that they're going to enforce some type of a standard on others. It's insane for Americans to even talk about this, because that's what America has been using its military to do for the last, how long? 100 years? We're going to take our military might and we're going to go enforce environmental, social, and governance values across the world, and in the name of freedom. You don't agree with the way we govern things, you're the enemy. So it's been going on for longer than just 10, 15 years. But I'll leave it there. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.